Слава Україні!
Героям слава. Thanks a lot. Thank you for this idea for the marathon, and for me, it's a great honor to be a moderator of Ukrainian session, because the people who are in the session, you inspired me. You are my heroes, and I understand how difficult for you to work and live under constant shelling and bombing and all this war pain. And actually, for us, it's very necessary to show the world how we live, how we work now, and what we are doing now in Ukraine and abroad. And sure, the topic of sustainability is the key in rebuilding Ukraine, in developing our country. That's why now there will be a kind of three blocks. So first block will be about the setting the scene, and Kyiv School of Economics has a fantastic project which calls Russia Will Pay. And now I would like Darina Marchak, co-head of the Kyiv School of Economics project Russia Will Pay and head of Kyiv School of Economics Center of Public Finance Analysis, will present us the situation in Ukraine and what happened to Ukraine. What did Russia do? Darina, could you show it?
Dear colleagues, thank you very much for possibility to talk to the audience about what is happening in Ukraine. Unfortunately, due to the technical problems, I cannot demonstrate presentation by myself. Could I please ask some of your team, or probably my colleague Karina Karol, who is on the call, to give
Karina is here, so she can do it.
Okay, Karina, could you please provide presentation on the screen, and I will talk about it. While Karina is trying to demonstrate the presentation, I will start a bit, and we'll try to explain what is the current circumstances in our country, so that you can have some slight understanding of situation we are working all right now. Me and our team are volunteers, and for the last 3 months, starting from the second day of the war, we are making the project on assessment of direct infrastructure damages, and as well as indirect economic losses and recovery needs of Ukraine. And we are focusing on the destructions caused by Russian aggression in different fields in our country, with very severe damage for most of the sectors, and for cities of our citizens. We are focusing actually on 3 pillars. First pillar of part is assessment of damages. So it's assessment of physical infrastructure damages in Ukraine. The second is losses. It's a preliminary assessment of indirect economic losses by industry or sector background. And the second is needs. So it's not only about how many, what was the value of destructed assets or buildings, but also how much money do we actually need to restart the economy and to get back to the normal life. And so the very idea of the very core situation that we face right now is that due to economic destruction, Ukraine has suffered $100 billion of destruction of physical assets, and most of these assets are residential housing. Of these $100 billion, $40 billion are damaged private or multi-storied buildings, residential buildings, owned by Ukrainian citizens. And according to our preliminary calculations, more than 800,000 Ukrainian families are now deprived of their assets. And that is why you see so many families moving to either Western Ukraine, which is more or less safe now, or to foreign countries, as well as a lot of those people who still have residential housing, but do not have safety conditions that allow women to work while their kids are in kindergartens, because due to safety conditions, all the kindergartens and schools are closed in Ukraine for 3 months already. And this leads to as well a huge economical disruption for the economy, because all these people who created value added in our country, they are now living abroad, spending money abroad, and some of them probably will never come back to Ukraine because some of them lost their relatives, some of them lost their possessions, and so on. But if to speak about structure of these damages, so the residential housing is the bigger part, but the second biggest part is the infrastructure itself. Ukrainian roads, Ukrainian railroads, airports, water infrastructure. Probably you could know that infrastructure is one of the main targets of Russian army in Ukraine right now. Russians are targeting railway stations because they are afraid of getting more weaponry from Western partners to Ukrainian front, or from getting foreign politicians and presidents of other countries coming to Kiev and see what has happened in Bucha or in Riben, and so on. As well, 13 Ukrainian airports and airport infrastructure damaged, but the biggest damage is caused to Ukrainian roads, because unfortunately Russians are using Ukrainian roads to make assault against Ukrainian state, and tanks are considered to be one of the most destructive vehicles for the roads in general, because there are even international researchers on how, for example, tanks moving on the road, like making some maneuvers on the road, in what way, how many times the destruction effect is increasing at that moment. And the third biggest impact in terms of physical destruction we see on Ukrainian business itself. Today we see at least 9.5 billion US dollars in lost assets of Ukrainian companies. And here we do not count for retail company, for the trade disruption. We do not here count for agricultural losses and so on. So the value of the damages is huge, but the value for the recovery is even bigger. On this, the next slide, you see the total recovery needs as a preliminary assessment calculated by Kyiv School of Economics, and it's counted for 170 billion US dollars at the current moment. Here we still do not calculate, for example, do not count for financial sector losses, which are really huge. We do not count for ecological losses, and the Ukraine has permanent fires in Ukrainian forests and millions of hectares of polluted lands, which leads to disruption in agricultural sector. And all these damages are really very dangerous for economical sustainability. Although on my mind as a citizen, there are very good news, because I think that most of international partners, and I think that a lot of Ukrainian citizens we were expecting that a Ukrainian state will be failed as soon as will fail as soon as Russian aggressor invades, but in reality, it appeared that Ukrainian state is fully functional. All institutions are fully functional, and the state is making its best to ensure that economy survives and that we restart rebuilding as soon as we can. And on the next slide, some more figures about the impact on Ukrainian houses. And here you see some breakdown by number of apartment buildings and private homes destruction due to the war, as well as here you can see that 4.3 billion losses of agricultural enterprises and land funds were damaged, direct damage for Ukrainian economy. And not to make a long story short, I do not want to pressure you with the figures. We have figures for every particular sector of Ukrainian economy with total estimates for damages, losses, and recovery needs. But still, the general idea is that as a country, we are making our best to overcome this huge challenge for the very state existence and for the very nation existence. But of course, we strongly need international support in this challenge. And it's not only about weaponry, but it's also about financial assistance so that we can rebuild all these assets and that we can get all Ukrainian or most Ukrainian citizens back home to rebuild the economy all together. Thank you very much.
Darina, thank you.
Stop.
Thank you a lot. And where can we find these figures? Just tell us.
I think that this particular presentation will be available online starting, I think, tomorrow evening. And they can share the short version of the presentation with you.
Thanks a lot. So this is the reality where we are now. And the second block will be about rebuilding Ukraine, about revival of Ukraine. And with us today is Alexandre Riben, Deputy Minister of Economy of Ukraine. Alexandre, now I know that you are developing the plan for rebuilding Ukraine. So could you share with us some insights from this?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Marin. I'm happy to be here. I'm on the valuable guests. And so I'm happy to see the huge interest to Ukraine. And this is great to understand that we're not alone in our efforts to save and rebuild the country. Yes, in essence, we are developing the plan, and we're also working closely with different international finance institutions and with the different foreign governments as well on preferably one concept of the Ukraine Recovery Fund, but most likely that would be like a couple of different concepts, but with the same approach and with the same solutions for accountability, transparency, and procurement. But this I can touch base a little later. Just to give you an understanding of what we as a government are actually doing. Well, actually, in direction of rebuilding Ukraine on the basis of the sustainability cooperation between business and the government. We've, as the government, are trying to initiate a number of deregulation efforts and also introducing some instruments of the financial direct and indirect financial support. We're also doing this all in the conditions of the martial law. As you know, that right after the war, the martial law was declared all over Ukraine on the whole territory, and this also triggers a number of restrictions in operations, logistics, migration, the labor migration, etc., business traveling. So that is all highly complicated, but we're striving and struggling to find the proper solutions and how it should be working. The government carries out the cooperation with central and local executive bodies, other state bodies, temporary advisory authority, consultative, and other subsidiary bodies that were established by the Cabinet of Ministers, and we basically offer the number of support instruments, as I said. One of them is the Cabinet of Ministers has adopted the resolution on some issues providing assistance under the Technical Assistance Program for the EU for Business, where we are providing, with the help of our European partners, the grants to support the micro enterprises. They're getting 4,000 euros each. Unfortunately, this is just the 300 SMEs, but I think this number will be growing. I think this Friday, the government will also approve the big program providing different sets and ways of grant support. These will be grants of up to 250,000 hryvnias just for any private entrepreneurs, any individual private entrepreneurs, and also like the small and medium businesses that would need the support to continue working, continue operations, to refill their working capital, etc. We're also going to have different direct supports for numerous industries that are most likely that actually aim to create more working spaces in Ukraine, and this is also one of our goals with this huge level of migration. At least 12 million people were forced to leave their homes, and we know that at least 5 million people still stay abroad. And this is the goal of the government, to bring them back and to create the working and living environment that be good for them to continue working with us on the rebuilding of the country. So these other grants will also be directed in the support of agriculture. They will also be directed to the support of the IT industry. We will provide quick sort of like educational programs for those who want to change their profession and would be more inclined to look at the graphic designers or information technology specialists. So they will be able to get the support, and they will be able to be employed by either Ukrainian or international IT companies. We will also set up, together with Ukrainian Startup Fund, the startup support program for technical and innovations. These programs will also be fulfilled together with number of venture investment funds that are still active in Ukraine. We track at least 15 of such VCs that are still looking for the new talents and new technologies that could be developed in Ukraine. Originally and historically, Ukraine was really successful in that. Having said that, like we in addition to that, we have the loan, sort of like the leverage instrument support program that is called 579, that is providing loans in local currency in hryvnia at the rates of 5%, 7%, and 9% per annum, depending on the uses of the funds and the eligibility of the borrower. Well, here we're sort of like leveraging the banking system of Ukraine, also using the banking liquidity to some extent, while the government is compensating the market interest rate to the level that I just told you. Because the inflation is growing, unfortunately, and is about to grow even more, the National Bank of Ukraine had to revisit the reference interest rate. and this compensation of the interest is becoming more and more difficult for us because it's growing in numbers, but we really want to set up all the instruments and the roots and cracks. So when the funds will be fueled into the system, we will have all the procedures ready, and this system is already working, and it just needs extra financing. But so far, it's satisfying all the needs of the entrepreneurs. So in essence, we're supporting them with free support, free money through grants, and we also give them additional opportunity to borrow at the low interest rates.
Alexandre, sorry,
yeah.
I have to jump in because we have not so much time. And thanks a lot. So support of entrepreneurship, of startup, of also making a lot of measures to return Ukrainians from abroad. Just some of your priorities. Just one quick question. It's extremely difficult to plan under such circumstances. How do you manage this?
Well, we have no other choice. We need to plan, and we need to count on our partners as well. And actually, I didn't touch the topic of your conference, the sustainability. So I just want to ensure you that since all the new money that are coming in the different ways of support through different funds, recovery funds, Marshall plans, whatever, just call them anything, they would still be serving the same purpose. I can assure you that we now have a chance to do everything properly from scratch, and that's why we'll be implementing those procedures that are already working using IFI money. And that is all associated with ESG procedures, environmental social impact assessments. So we'll definitely be paying a lot of attention to the environment and to make this whole process sustainable, because this is the only way for us to strive through these challenges. And also one final dot here is that the president has initiated the big program of the electric transport facilitation, and you will hear about this more. And I know that a lot of municipal transport will be gradually transferring to the electric solutions. This is also like the big input to the sustainability. So I will not be stealing more of your time.
Thanks a lot, and I hope that we could collaborate on this because it's extremely important for Ukraine. Thank you for being with us. And we have just heard the plans of Ukrainian government on rebuilding Ukraine. And now the third block. And here's I'm very honored to present the real entrepreneurs, the real businessmen and businesswomen, or civil society experts and partners who will tell their own stories about, as Solitar said, what the heck is going on. So I would like to present you our panelists today in this third block. So first, Anna Derevyanka, Executive Director of the European Business Association, Ukraine. Anna, thanks for being with us. Serhiy Chernenko, CEO of First Ukrainian International Bank. Thanks for being with us. Nadia Melchenko, Vice President of IT Integrator and a very great volunteer. Nadia, thanks for this. Evgenia Mazurenko, Chief Executive Officer, Zagori Foundation, and we referred in our description, our campaign, to research of Zagori Foundation on charity in Ukraine after the war. Thanks for being with us, Evgenia. And Alexei Ryabchin, Advisor to the CEO of Naftogaz of Ukraine on low carbon businesses and EU Green Deal. Thank you for being with us now today. And I would like to address you the first question from the first panel. What the heck is going on, to be more polite? What the heck is going on? Anna, could you comment?
I totally agree with your expression. What the hell is going on? Frankly speaking, nobody in business expected that this hell would happen. And actually, 99.9%, even 2 days before the war, everybody was sure that nothing like this is going to be in Ukraine. And basically, we were planning for our expansion. Everybody had very nice financial results before the war started. Then everything had to be okay. But nevertheless, we had this war in place. And actually, the first several weeks were a shock to businesses, and they tried to reestablish themselves, try to readjust to the new normality. I'm really grateful to banks and banking system, which managed to sustain properly, and they managed to support the whole infrastructure in a way which was not provoking any mess. As well, my thanks go to communication industry, which as well supported their services and their businesses in very dangerous environment, but nevertheless, all communication was going on really smoothly and without any problems. And you can you can go on and go on. Of course, logistical companies, you name it, the critical infrastructure really readjusted itself pretty well and pretty quickly. The rest of the business, of course, the first several weeks were the weeks of saving the staff, saving the relatives of the staff, trying to understand what the hell is going on and how to reopen the business. And we were able to really witness the change of dynamics of the moods of businesses almost on a weekly basis, because since the war started, we launched a series of surveys in order to really evaluate the pace of development of the business community. Now I can say that the business has adjusted, because 47% of our respondents replied that they reestablished fully, they functioned fully, they're fully operational. Another part, like 50% of respondents, they say that they restored operations, but with certain amendments. I mean, like some part has changed geography, some part has switched to online completely, and some part had to actually close some of their legal entities, some of their operations. Having said so, I can tell you that obviously business is there, but it's very difficult to name it as business, because nobody is really focusing on at getting revenues as such, at getting profits, because everybody in business is now working for the sake of existence, so that to really go through this difficult time in order to preserve itself, and then when the war is going to over, then actually be back on track and be really ready to recover the whole economy. And I should really underline suffered and suffering everybody, full stop. There is no somebody who is really benefiting this kind of situation. And actually, even those ones who are exporting, like agriculture producers or IT, even they are really suffering. Why? Because logistics is simply really ruined, I would say, in such a way. Some sectors of business activities which were really successful in the past were simply suspended. You know that ports of Ukraine are simply not functioning, and that this also provokes huge tons of problems for the exporters. So that's why, to summarize, I understand that we have a timing, so that's why I would like to summarize and say that yes, it's difficult. We are all suffering. Our financial sustainability, financial capacity to withdraw, survive actually for the next months is melting down. We see a number of companies have really reserved for a few months. Somebody would be ready and committed to work in Ukraine regardless for the whole actually exercise of the war. Micro and small businesses are really suffering most, and that's why I'm really thankful to the Ministry of Economy and what we've heard from Alexandre, that some sort of support is being granted or is going to be granted to the micro and small businesses. This is really very I would say, timely and necessary, because for them it's really difficult to sustain. So obviously we are all prepared for the victory of Ukraine, but the big question mark is how to sustain businesses, how to sustain operations, and how to provide actually salaries for people while we are in the transition mode, while we are going through the war, and while we are going to actually reach the victory. Because yes, obviously after the victory is done, we have huge and excellent opportunities, but during the war is going on, it's really a hell. So that's why really those words of Churchill, if you go through hell, continue going, it's really about us. So we continue going.
Anna, thanks a lot. So we will come back to your question regarding how to sustain businesses now and so on. But now I would like to switch to Sergei Chernenko, to the financial sector. So what the heck is going on in financial sector and how do you manage all this?
Well, actually we are living in like new reality where our day have new very important processes for us. It's like permanent analysis of threats to lives of our employees and our customers. Actually, we have like nationwide branch network, and we have process of like monitoring these threats like permanently always. And it's like new reality because of daily shelling, bombing, permanent of our territory. Actually, we have like big part of our territory occupied, and actually big part of banking infrastructure. It's also either destroyed or occupied or closed because of this dangerous to employees and to our customers. Actually, for our clients, we like see that they have like very huge problems. First of all, due to like logistics, also due to this close to combat zone, and or because some of the assets also occupied. And in the banking sector, especially like if we're talking about us, we change like the whole philosophy. Actually, we are not like selling anything to our clients. Our purpose is to support clients to go through like these difficult times, providing credit holidays, like doing encashment and actually like guaranteed access to cash to our clients, and also like safe payments to them. Regulations change quite like dramatically because we are living actually under worse conditions, and currency regulations, access to cash, rules like against possible traitors, all this like we need to implement to explain to our customers, and it's also like quite like difficult and new experience for us. And also it's like completely change of the management system for the bank. Actually, you know that the banks are quite formal in organization because of like heavy regulations, but actually we also like need to change the way how we manage to make it more like quick, faster, like up to all like news, and actually it's more like daily anti-crisis management.
Thanks a lot, Sergei. And in the worst scenario, did you expect the war?
Well, I would not say that we like did not make scenario of the war, because actually we are quite conservative as like bankers, and we need to predict the different, even like with low probability scenarios. But actually we could not predict like in that it will be like such conditions covering like the whole country. Actually, we like consider the probability of like local like combat, it will be quite probable, but not for the whole country. So actually, maybe it's like psychological problem that we could not in our mind like let us think that it's possible in 21st century.
I agree with you completely, because in my case, I didn't believe in this. I had alarm suitcase, but I didn't believe in such kind of full-scale invasion. And let's move to IT sector. Anna has already said about that it's not easy for you to operate now. So Nadia, what could you add, and what the heck is going on in IT sector?
We probably, like all businesses in Ukraine, first of all, see a significant worsening in economic indicators. Projects are frozen, we are losing customers, we are losing well-established supply chains, we are significantly reacting to the depreciation of national currency. Also, we see and we are grateful to the National Bank for the titanic work in this direction. We are losing specialist assets, we are still losing. Regarding strategic risks, this is of course a completely incomprehensible story with the investment areas. Maximum cost of mistake in any area of the work of a top manager, the emergency of new wartime business models in which humanitarian projects become a priority, but responsibility for the economic front, payment, taxes, team salary, and so on doesn't disappear. One more very important question, as I can see as a top manager, is corporate culture. So in which both the level of business and of teams, when you do understand both from each other side, the importance of sustainable development goals, of keeping your business resilient. As Anna said, that today for Ukrainian business, it is not the simple threat, it is existential threat for if there will be business or not. So we have to struggle a lot. And we do understand now, and we do not know that the war is a very expensive thing. So that's why we have to work. And our company, we work a lot. And as for the operational level, using the example of our business as the largest supplier of the IT solutions for the corporate and public sectors in Ukraine, during the months of martial law, we devote most of our time to support our clients and volunteering. So we help a lot military rescues, people evacuations, we collect and deliver equipment, laptops, communications, food, medicines. We collect books for Ukrainian kids in evacuation, teach adults English, take care of the safety and emotional support of our employees. What we also did, we moved to Poland. We opened the office in Poland just to promote to the European market our products. So what we need and what I want to tell that what's the best way how to help Ukrainian business is to do business with Ukrainians, because we are here, we are working, we have all our resources, we are here, so we are, of course, we are in the work conditions, but still we're strong enough to do business even under such conditions. And so as you can help us and support Ukraine to help us with the supply chain, because we do not have time to wait for goods, for very important ammunition, military stuff, and so on and so forth. We have to move very, very quick, because we have to respond very quick to the needs of our army, to our first army, and that's why we need support in this area as well. So, and of course, I think maybe some people think that it's not time for innovation, but you just imagine that in Ukraine there is a war, but Ukraine is more than war. Just the war is not the limit to Ukrainian people, that we have to think how to rebuild the Ukraine after the war. And now we started a lot of developing new products, and we do a lot in the military area as well. So just find the way how to support Ukraine also in the area of investments as well, in somehow to launch new products and to keep in touch with big business, with corporate business as well. And of course, Ukraine, so the best way to help and to support Ukraine is to do business with Ukrainians.
Nadia, thanks a lot. And let's move to another sector. It's energy sector. And actually this war underlined the big issue, how many countries are dependent on oil and gas. Alexei, what can you say?
Basically, like I participated in this war for climate and for the green energy. So basically to fight with the fossil fuels. I guess it's like I'm 15 years in this industry. And like I'm from Donetsk, so basically I'm in for 8 years in this war, and now like these two worlds collide. So it's it become quite even more complicated, and the real problem now occurred to many spheres, not only in Ukraine but in Europe and like in America. So we have a global consequences. But I would say that like when the full-scale war on 24th of February like it started, so I'm doing a lot of green business in Naftogaz. We're trying to do the energy transition, so we have our climate neutrality goal. So we are trying to move the traditional fossil fuel company to a multi-energy company to make it more sustainable, to invest in green transition, in renewables, in biofuel, in hydrogen, in e-vehicles, in all of this kind of stuff. And like it's more even responsible because it's a national company, so we need to do this transition in order to with the government and with the people's expectation. But like on the 24th, like I was really afraid of that, like all of this kind of a Green Deal stuff and energy transition might be halted because it won't be, it won't be necessary. And I even was afraid, and I was asking my European counterparts in the European Commission or in businesses, whether these Green Deal funds, with like multi-billion funds, will be shifted away from green transition to, I don't know, subsidize the vulnerable consumers or to shift these resources to war. But that doesn't happen. And what I see now that the climate change, the green transition, the sustainability, the ESG aspect moved in a perception of media, of businesses, of the government from, this kind of a Greta Thunberg stuff, environment and climate, which I'm like perfectly supporting, and I'm a climate negotiator from Ukraine, so I support everything that is there. But like currently the angle, the aspect is different. It's energy security. And now this, when we talk about green, you talk not about the climate, about our future generation, about something, you talk about the energy security. And like Russia here is a loser because in all of the European plan, their gas at least was in all of strategy till 2050. So Russia might supply to Europe and receive revenues for Russian people. But now, like it's changed. So we have a gas embargo, we have an oil and coal embargo. I guess this will be the last year when Russia will be funded from the European Union. Of course, we would like to have the interruption like immediately, but okay. Nevertheless, I think that it will be some sanction towards gas. And like Europe will be easily shifting away from Russian fossil fuel, investing in energy efficiency, investing in biofuel, investing in hydrogen. And this where we can see in Ukraine huge opportunities also to be a reliable customer to Europe. But what other insight can I share that like previously we are Naftogaz and many other private businesses see the opportunities of like establishing a hydrogen business or biogas business or biomethane and ship it, sell it to Europe. But now the reality has changed and we see so like why we need to ship biomethane to Europe to receive a green premium on a CO2 reduction. Like we need the biogas and biomethane here because we lack out of gas. We need to heat our homes. The prices on the market are such high. So this project becomes like super profitable even inside of Ukraine. For example, with the hydrogen, it was kind of very, very geeky and very hype topic. I participated in it. But now if we can substitute our chemical industry with the hydrogen, so they extract, they make fertilizers, not from the gas, from the fossil fuel, but from hydrogen, which come from renewables, or from, I don't know, atomic power, nuclear power, we can substitute up to the 7 billion cubic meter of gas. So the energy transition, energy security, and the green aspect is completely changed because of the war, because of Russia, and maybe tactically they won by these high prices of gas, like to fulfill their budget immediately, but tactically they lost. And we in Ukraine, by joining the European Union and by already, like before the war, we did huge amount of green stuff, we will be strategically in a like really great position.
Thank you, Alexey. And now we are moving to Evgenia. Evgenia is a managing director of the Zaguri Foundation. What the heck is going on in civil society? Evgenia, 5 minutes, if it's possible.
Yes, hello everybody. I just wanted to add to the previous colleague that civil society is everybody of us, and so we could not say that civil society it's also NGO and charities, because when the war broke out, I mean the full-scale war, we saw how everybody was involved. I'm personally from Bucha, and I spent days in a basement, and thanks to the civil society I had food, I could be evacuated, and I could be even integrated today. Excuse me, Vasilin, just a second. This is the mama's reality, working without kindergartens already. Just a second, 5 minutes. And talking about NGO sector, before the war, the main, I would say the main philanthropist and the main donor for the NGO sector was ordinary Ukrainians, because locals and national organizations like grassroots, they were focusing on working with the Ukrainians and didn't build the relationships with the international community. This time we see that started from the first days of war, everybody was involved, and people donated and still donate money to even to the private cards, because people trust people but not trust to the institutions. And this time I see that Ukrainians became tired, and we went back to our businesses, because we to continue to operate. And thanks Nadia that mentioned about operating, and this is my main message to the international community, that we still operate in country. It means that our humanitarian crisis is very unique because of the human capital, because international organizations came to Ukraine with their standards of humanitarian aid, but in Ukraine we don't need to distribute rice and to have this distribution of the clothes, because you will not see the poor children after evacuation process, because we are Ukrainians, we already, I would say, distributed everybody, and I see a big problem that humanitarian aid can even kill the business, because I see the importance of even dialogue and cooperation between NGO sector and business, because NGO sector can bring humanitarian aid as much as possible. So the main problem today for NGO sector, I see this is lack of communication with the international organizations, because many international organizations are entering Ukraine, and I see that locals and grassroots are not sounds a lot on the international, excuse me, international level. I just came back from Barcelona. I visited the biggest association for European foundation, and my daughter was with me, and and it was like the biggest message for them, because moms. Так, Василинка, будь ласка, 5 хвилин, я тебе прошу. 5 хвилин.
Evgenia, it's so cute, but we understand the problem, the issue. It's not a problem, but it is the issue, because kindergartens do not operate. Zhenya, thanks a lot, and I would like just to Zhenya, could you, okay, and I would like to end our panel with some kind of hope. And actually, I would like to ask you the question, what gives you the hope under such circumstances? Anna, what gives you hope?
Kids, of course, the next generation gives you hope, and you understand for whom you should actually continue everything, for whom you should arrange those sustainability projects, and this is making you, alive. And the second thing which really makes you alive, and somehow makes you adjust to the environment is that because you have no choice, frankly speaking, because you have simply no choice. You just have to find your own way. You have to find the new way in the new normality. And most likely we need to plan our efforts and resources, because this marathon is going to be for quite a long period of time. And it seems to me that now many Ukrainians understand that, especially in business. Everybody understands that now any plan is possible. No, any illogical thing can happen. So that's why it's necessary to be prepared for everything. And this is the main actually guidelines and the main things which really is forming and shaping the part of your everyday reality.
Anna, thanks. It's just like Alexandre also said, that we do not have any other choice. We do not have plan B. Thanks a lot. Sergey, what gives you hope?
Well, actually, it's not like the first crisis in Ukraine, but the most maybe dramatical crisis. But what gives me the hope is like people around me. Actually, I see that these people is with energy. They're quite professional. They like keep like working despite of like dangerous thing. I had a call with some Kharkov, Nikolaev, and I see this eyes with energy. They understand their responsibility. They need to support like people like our customers, and they're ready to do this. And actually, this energy of these people around me and their professionalism and their desire like to keep our world actually give me energy also.
Sergey, thank you. And I would like just to mention that on 24th of February, when the war started, it was the plan in Ukraine to sign CO declaration to achieve SDGs. And Sergey would be one among signatories. So this is a kind of irony, but I hope that we will sign it after the victory. Alexandre, what is your hope in this situation? Alexandre, you are mute. Okay, Nadia, could I move to you? What gives you hope?
Our victory is the biggest motivator, is the biggest idea that moves me, that moves our businesses here. I'm in Kiev, my business in Kiev. We live, we work, we do our business in our ordinary day-to-day way in this abnormal situation, and we do anything and everything possible to advance the victory. So the victory, no other choice but the victory.
Thanks a lot. Alexei, what gives you hope?
Of course, like I would say, like to everybody, the Ukrainian army forces give huge hope, and I bet that like we all have this upside down of the moods. You know, like when we receive some good news from the front, like it's energize you. When we receive some bad news, like it just like sends you to a huge depression. So everybody feels this, but I would say the community of like I'm working in an energy sector now and helping the government, but this community of people who are doing like fabulous and fantastic things, you know, saving our homes, saving our pipes, our wires, to to supply people with electricity, heat, gas, water. Like this really gives me a big hope with these people like who are working, and we can rebuild Ukraine. And of course, as Anna said, like for our future generation, like I do hope that like it's our generation task to finish all this territorial stuff with Russia, to finish this war. For them not to deal with this. So my new generation gives me also a huge hope. I see those kids, I see those new generations, and like they're different, and they like it will be a different world for them. So basically, like the last thing that gives me hope that we are on a good side of history, that we are doing everything right, that we are doing everything sustainable. We are fighting for climate. We are fighting for the values, and like we will be maybe the last thing that inspired me, that we will be the part of the European Union, and maybe in 10 years I will be the member of the European Parliament. This will give me a long-term vision and give me a big hope.
Great, and good luck with this. So we are with you. Thanks
Thank you.
a
Vote
lot.
for me in 10 years. So
For sure, for sure. And Evgenia, what gives hope to you?
First of all, I'm very happy that we overcame with Ukrainian inferiority and we understand the power of us. Then understanding that I am not refugee, I am a fighter, and this is very empower myself. Then it's very great to understand that people are the first then indicators in our country. And the last is the resilience of Ukrainians, how we really try to be sustainable and how world in solidarity with us. And I think that many companies and other NGOs on the other markets can support our resilience by supporting our operation. Thank you.
Evgenia, thanks a lot. And for me also, our army and such people as you are and my team give a lot of inspiration and hope. And also this marathon is a kind of hope for me because sustainability associations from all over the world united to support Ukraine. And thanks, Chris, thanks to GlobeScan and CSI Europe for this. So just a short summary. And first, we are suffering, it's true, but we are operating and we have hopes and we have plans and we are developing these plans to rebuild Ukraine on sustainability principles. I would like to thank you all the panelists. Thanks a lot. It was a great pleasure to have you with us, and please share the information about this marathon and please share the donation link because now we can support Ukrainian civil society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Phil. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Героям
Thank you.
слава.
Героям слава.
Madam Slava.
Please.
Thank you so much, Marina. Thank you, panelists. That was very inspiring,